Thank you for being here. This is exciting. It sort of feels a little bit like a long time coming because we've been talking about this and working on it for several years. And it's just really great to now be together with you and to be able to share with you what we've been working on these past few years. And then in particular, really over the past 8-9 months to really bring this secondary cooperative vision for home care to fruition. So next slide. So just quickly, kind of what we'll be talking about. So first, I'm just going to walk everybody through the evolution of the secondary cooperative concept for home care so that we're all on the same page as to where this came from, how it came about. Then I'm going to introduce Elevate Cooperative, the secondary cooperative for home care that we have been working to develop, and then introduce Elevate Cooperative's first pilot product, which is elevate.coop. Next slide. So to begin, in 2017, actually just right when I joined ICA, in partnership with CDF, the ICA group conducted a research study to really look deeply at how home care cooperatives could address the national caregiver shortage crisis that was plaguing the home care industry and really transform the home care industry for the benefit of caregivers and clients. As part of the study, we really sought to better understand how to stabilize, strengthen, and scale the home care cooperative sector. And based on the needs that we identified, we identified 3 primary goals to guide the work ahead. So goal 1 was to build systems to strengthen existing home care cooperatives, really stabilize operations, improve profitability, and really whenever possible, of course, improve job quality for caregivers. Goal 2 was to support new entrants into the home care cooperative field and ensure that these groups, have the necessary tools to be successful. I think, we found a lot of cooperative startups, in particular, those that are not supported by technical assistance providers or developers are really, trying to reinvent the wheel. And it's really hard. It's not easy to start a business at all. Definitely not easy to start a home care cooperative. So we knew there was more to do to make that process easier and more successful more quickly for those that are taking that path. And then goal 3 was really to create a platform to meaningfully improve job quality for a significant portion of home care workers, whether cooperative or otherwise, and really shift the social and economic value that's currently assigned to home care work. So this is really, goal 3 was really around large scale change and transformation of both the home care cooperative sector and the industry at large. Next slide. So in that study, the ICA group identified a secondary cooperative as the right institutional platform to achieve that 3rd goal. And at that point, we made a presentation at the 2018 Home Care Cooperative Conference, and then also held a working group meeting at that conference with the National Home Care Cooperative Steering Committee. There was a lot of support for the idea, and some early plans were laid to move the work from sort of concept to actual development. Next slide. Already, we knew we had a really strong foundation to build off of. As all of you here will certainly know, we already have a really strong and growing national network of both home care cooperatives and cooperative developers and just general supporters, involved in strategy, best practice sharing, peer learning, and more. And so we had already so much to build off of. And we really just saw a lot of opportunity to build on that foundation in new and sort of exciting and innovative ways to move the collective work of everyone forward to really improve the sector and start to chip away at that large scale transformation that we're hoping for. Next slide. So in the 2 years that followed completion of the study, there was a lot of progress made, in particular on goals 1 and 2. Specifically, this call was launched, and we started to do a lot more learning outside of the conference. The focus of the annual conference itself was really shifted from kind of more of a developer focus to more of cooperative business and operational topics. The benchmarking survey was launched. The concept for kind of an early rapid startup launch box was developed and work began on that. There were a lot of resources that were developed around board training and revenue diversification and financial management tools. And of course, multiple new cooperatives were launched. So there was quite a lot that happened and a lot of successes ongoing. And we knew that this was having an impact, but we also knew that there was more that needed to be done. I think, again, as you all know, running a home care cooperative is still really hard. And the home care industry is very challenging. So there's more work to be done. And, we knew, having done that study and really thought about this before, that really enhancing cooperation among cooperatives and the network was really the way to move forward. There's only so much that any one entity, whether a cooperative or a cooperative development group, can do on their own. But if we're working together and really thinking big picture about what we can do, then, we believe we can really start to move the needle. So next slide. So in 2020, again, in partnership with CDF, the ICA group conducted an in-depth study to really confirm the feasibility of launching a home care secondary cooperative. The primary elements of the study were a home care cooperative needs assessment. We had 9 cooperatives that responded to that. We also did a number of one-on-one interviews. We did trend analysis of the benchmarking survey. We had informant interviews with a really large number of people, secondary cooperative leaders in other sectors, as well as internationally, home care industry experts, product and service vendors, sort of a whole host of people to gather information. Of course, we're always listening at the conference, the bi-monthly calls through direct technical assistance. We always have our ears and eyes open for what you all are struggling with and need, and of course conducted desk research. And the results were really positive. I think there's certainly a lot of questions that still need to be answered and a lot of work that needs to be done. But what we heard and what we found was that there really was a strong need. There was a really strong opportunity, that there is a really strong opportunity for a national entity to be able to take the lead on certain items. There's also a lot of things that need to exist and happen at a much more local level. And the time really felt right. There's, of course, so much going on right now in home care. There's so much movement, also a really significant caregiver shortage crisis that's continuing and getting worse. And then COVID happened. So I think, it just really felt like the time to take things to the next level and dive in. Next slide. So we did, we dove in, and over the course of the past, 8-9 months, we've really begun to put real meat to the secondary cooperative vision. After months of deliberation and going back and forth, we landed on the name Elevate, because we really envision a world where the value of home care and caregivers and caregiver voices and caregiver pay is elevated to its appropriate place as an essential, skilled, respected social service. And it just, anything we came up with, it was always like, yeah, we want to elevate that and that and that. So it just kind of resonated with us. And I hope that everybody likes it and, very open to feedback on it as well. But the branding is very much still a work in progress, but just kind of fun to see some early samples here of what we've been looking at. It really starts to make things look real. Next slide. So the mission of Elevate Cooperative that we have developed is to drive the profitability, growth, and influence of home care cooperatives. We really envision that the Elevate Cooperative will help to fully actualize the cooperative difference in home care by both strengthening individual home care cooperatives and growing the home care cooperative sector, both in terms of just the number of cooperatives and the size of cooperatives, And that then through that growth and that strengthening, we can collectively drive large-scale policy change for the mutual benefit of caregivers and clients. So really kind of taking this concept of better home care together. Next slide. We envision that Elevate Cooperative will offer a wide variety of products and services that strengthen individual cooperatives and build the home care cooperative sector. So this is really building off of all of that listening and learning and surveying that we did. So we are thinking about marketing and sales, products and services, training for caregivers and administrators, as well as on cooperative topics, governance, engagement, et cetera, business development, business strategy support, back office optimization, advocacy and awareness building, just advancing knowledge of the home care cooperative model, why it's better, why it's different, and really pushing that larger scale policy change that we know is needed to really make significant change. Network building, continuing to create spaces for peer engagement, peer learning, peer exchange, et cetera, and then also group purchasing. And we envision that some of these products will be developed and provided in-house, while others will be provided through strategic partnerships, either with cooperative development centers or with other secondary cooperatives in the cooperative space, et cetera. So kind of providing a very full suite of products and services to support cooperatives. Next slide. We very much imagine that Elevate Cooperative will be a cooperative of home care cooperatives. That has always been intended that way, that it would be governed by cooperative member majority. So what that really means is that members of Elevate would be business cooperatives. It would be the cooperatives. So cooperatives are the members. Cooperatives would invest equity and pay membership dues. And then as members, cooperatives gain access to all of the member benefits, both sort of a standard package as well as potentially add-on products and services based on your own particular needs. And then also kind of, just like your own home care cooperative, members would elect the board would hire and manage an executive director, and the board would oversee management and then guide the strategic direction of the cooperative. So, this is very much meant to be a cooperative of home care cooperatives governed by and led by the home care cooperatives. ICA for now is leading development, but ultimately, our intention is very much for this to transition over, and even at this development stage for the voices of home care cooperatives to really lead and guide the development as we move forward. Next slide. So this is really just the beginning. We have a lot more work to do, and we're really excited to engage everyone in this process now that we've reached this critical place. We have a lot of upcoming opportunities for engagement. Specifically, we're going to be reaching out probably within just a couple of weeks about hosting a couple of focus groups around training for caregivers and administrators, just really hearing more on what it is that your individual cooperative or you as an individual caregiver need and are hoping for. That could be delivered through a national secondary cooperative network. And then also we will be beginning to bring together different advisory working groups to really help us think more about branding, mission, vision, product development, and kind of where we go next. And so, really hoping to engage everyone in this process, and would love for people to reach out directly if you have interest, but also, stay tuned, and we'll be sending out information about those opportunities in the next, couple of weeks and months. So I'm going to take a quick pause there. I'm going to move on and talk about the website platform, but just kind of want to open it up there. There's a lot of information, a lot of background, and see if anyone has questions or comments at this stage, or any sort of reactions or reflections.
Yeah, and I just took us off of share screen so that we can have more of a conversation, but we'll pop back into the presentation when it's time for part 2.
I guess I'll just say bravo. This is so exciting to see. And it's so smart and targeted. So I've been hearing for, a long time about this and sort of talking it up to our staff and saying just, wait until we see it, because we're also playing with these notions of secondary co-op models at the industry level. So I have this impulse to, uh, like take the work. I know it's early stages, but just like really share it with our staff. So that's a selfish response, but it's so heartening to see and so cool.
Yeah,
Awesome.
ditto what Melissa said. Having been on a lot of home care calls in the last 7 years or 8 years, this is a really exciting development, and kudos to you and your team. This is, I think a lot of the stuff we've done so far has been really helpful, but it sometimes feels like nibbling around the edges of some of the challenges in this industry, and this really sort of cuts to the core. So.
I'm sort of curious about the financials and like digging into the actual sort of, the details of how it'll work. Is that what's coming up next?
Coming up next is going to be sort of a presentation about the first pilot product. I would say the financial model and all of that is really dependent in part on cooperative input and also sort of the staging of products and services. So that's why we're at such a critical juncture and really needing outside input now to make sure that what we're designing is reflective of what the cooperatives themselves want and what feels right in terms of structure and cost, et cetera. So we certainly have a lot of thoughts and have put a lot of thought into it. We had designed really, I cannot say we actually, Ivona, Dave, and Margaret Lund designed a financial model for the feasibility study. But I think as things go, you do a feasibility study and then you get through it and you realize, oh, actually, we need to completely redo it. So a lot of work to do there. But
one of the things we've run into in our own thinking about secondary co-op models for the radiate co-ops is this is the eternal question. It seems simple, right? That how to deliver the kind of value that it needs to deliver for the price that people are willing to pay. It just, that's the rock and the hard place. And so I want to know, like, what you have kind of, whether what home care co-ops are saying or what home care businesses are saying about what they can afford and what you think you can do in a staged way. But obviously that's a longer conversation.
Yeah. Well, we're happy to talk separately offline about that, and also, really want to again engage with all the cooperatives on that question. I think, one big picture thing I can share is we certainly want to have an equity kind of buy-in, a membership buy-in, and then a monthly fee. And I think one way that we've thought about keeping costs down, but also delivering a lot of value, is having a really strong base of core services and then allowing people to add on kind of a la carte for things that they specifically need. So we're not kind of pushing everything and ballooning the cost. But we have a pretty good sense at this point, I think, of what, from having done the surveys, et cetera, of what kind of the common pain points are. And so if we can resolve those through common membership and then address, sort of the more dispersed needs through a la carte, that might be how we approach that. Other comments or questions before we move on? I see there's been some chats also. So thank you for those. All really nice. Wahoo and wow.
Yeah,
That's great.
Just want to jump and say that I think it's a really cool idea, and it'll be so cool to be part of a larger co-op with all of the other co-ops, and have another avenue of communication and sharing. And so I think that's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, it's awesome to be able to share this with all of you guys. We've been working on it so much, of course, and some blood, sweat, and tears in there. So it's great to hear this positive feedback. Well, why don't we keep moving on? Because I know we have a lot of other things we want to talk about. And of course, we're hoping that this is just one of many, many conversations that we would have as a group and individually. So I'll keep going now and introduce our first product and service, elevate.coop, and then we'll have more time for questions at the end as well. All right. So first, just a quick point of background. What I'm going to be talking about now is elevate.coop, which is the first product/service that we're launching for the secondary cooperative. We're in a little bit of an interesting moment where we have not actually incorporated the secondary cooperative yet, but we are offering our first pilot product, and that is in part because we had an opportunity where three cooperatives that we were working with independently, Cooperative Home Care Associates of Philadelphia, and Cooperative Care, all needed new websites and needed support with marketing and sales. And this was kind of one of the key products that we had been looking at, and we thought, well, you know, here it is. Let's do it. So that is in part why we are focusing on this, just for that little bit of background as our starting place, but also because digital marketing is incredibly important in home care for both client acquisition and caregiver recruitment. You know, according to Home Care Pulse, 6 of the top 10 revenue generating consumer marketing sources were internet-based in 2019. And that is certainly a trend that we've seen tick upward year over year. And I think that's true of probably every industry, right? It's just a lot of things are online. That's where things are happening. And certainly COVID only elevated this need and sort of the focus to really be online. We have historically seen in the benchmarking surveys that a lot of cooperatives get their best referrals from past clients and past caregivers, and I think that will very much remain true. But this is definitely an area where we saw a lot of need for support and development. Next slide. So kind of contrasting. Oh.
I think we lost you, Katrina. Can you hear me?
All right. Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh my goodness gracious. This is just a day of tech difficulties. All right. So contrasting, the importance of digital marketing that we see from kind of the broader industry and surveys, et cetera. When we surveyed home care cooperatives in 2020, we learned that 8 of 9 cooperatives that responded felt ill-equipped to integrate new technology and platforms and really analyze the effectiveness of marketing activities. 7 of 9 felt ill-equipped to integrate search engine optimization. 7 of 9 struggled to find time to develop new online content. 6 of 9 struggled to keep up with updates to the cooperative website and social media. And then 6 of 9 wish that they could do more with website and social media management and marketing strategy, but just didn't have either the time, the skills, or capacity to really do that. I think relatedly, year over year in the benchmarking survey, we've heard from cooperatives that client acquisition and caregiver recruitment, and also marketing and sales generally, are among the biggest business and operational challenges that are impacting cooperative sustainability and growth. So there was a lot there that we knew we needed to address. Next slide. One of the other questions that we asked in the survey was, if you could offload any of the following responsibilities to a trusted third party, which would give you the greatest sense of relief and allow you more time to focus on other critical work? So we offered 10 different options as well as a write-in. And 6 of 9 respondents indicated that marketing activities were one of the top 3 tasks that they would like to offload from their daily responsibilities. Other top 3s were caregiver recruitment and training and onboarding, which are pretty interrelated. And so, you know, we really saw a really clear opportunity here to address this issue through the secondary cooperative. Next slide. So, we saw this clear need, and just given the nature of digital marketing, a national solution felt very viable and highly beneficial. So, I had noted this briefly before. There's a lot of things that are not best done at a national level, and then those things that are done best at a national level. And we really saw this as one solution that really made a lot of sense on a national scale. So more specifically, the solution that we identified was the creation of a centrally managed digital marketing and sales platform that's really designed to elevate the cooperative difference in home care to drive client and caregiver leads. We imagine the platform is being managed by a professional marketing firm with support and sort of regular input by cooperatives themselves, as well as cooperative developers, and then a platform that's really offering also not just the thing, but ongoing support to ensure that it's effective, that it's operating optimally, and then ongoing training as well to increase in-house knowledge and capacity. I think one thing we really wanted to be cautious about was not creating any tools that then are creating a dependency. So, we envision the platform as really both being a product, but also a venue to increase knowledge, skills, capacity at the individual cooperative level, as well as kind of at, in the sector as a whole. Next slide. So more specifically, we have created, or sort of are in the final stages now of creating this new platform called Elevate.coop. And really, more specifically, what it is a customizable website template that's been designed by Story Collaborative, which is our professional marketing partner. I think many of you have seen them present before. ICA has been really involved in this, of course, and Cooperative Home Care Associates of Philadelphia, and Cooperative Care have been really deeply involved as well in crafting these templates, the language. All of this was built actually off of a 6-week buyer's journey that the 3 cooperatives and ICA and Story Collaborative went through to inform the templates. And I can talk a little bit more about that later. But basically, customizable website templates, website hosting. So monthly website hosting on HubSpot Pro, which is a really well-respected, recognized marketing and sales digital platform. Monthly tech support. So for cooperatives that sort of sign on to the platform and the system, getting monthly monitoring of website performance, ongoing tech support, et cetera. So you're getting that kind of hands-on support. Quarterly growth-driven design support, which I'll explain more in a moment, but basically means that the performance of the website is being continuously monitored, and that then 4 times a year, all of the cooperatives that are on the platform are going to come together, talk about trends, traffic, leads, how are things going? What's working really well? What's not working so well? What needs to be changed? What needs to be optimized, et cetera. And then deciding on the changes that will be made both individually and collectively. ICA is going to be doing content development. So at this stage, just to note that ICA is kind of acting as the proxy secondary cooperative. Once the secondary cooperative is itself incorporated and has staff, that will not be true, but for now, ICA is driving a lot of this. So we intend to develop content, so blogs, social media posts, videos, infographics that then can be modified for local cooperatives to drive search engine optimization on the individual sites. And then, as I mentioned already, sort of the ongoing marketing training to be able to increase capacity and expertise on staff. Next slide. So just quickly about growth-driven design. This is a concept that we were introduced to by Story Collaborative, and that really resonated with us. So the idea is that typically companies spend a lot of time and money designing a website, and then it sits static for several years and ultimately becomes obsolete. And then you kind of have to go through this painful process again. So in growth-driven design, the updating and improvements are ongoing so that the website never becomes obsolete. Its performance is constant and the investments are being spread out over time. So you're kind of looking at it quarterly and making those adjustments, making those improvements over, a couple of hours, as opposed to like a 3-month, 6-month drawn out, website redesign, which if you've ever been a part of one, you'll know what I'm talking about. So that really appealed to us, this idea that you could be constantly improving and driving the performance of your website. So you're always kind of one step ahead of the competition. And so in practice, the growth-driven design is that monthly monitoring of performance, and then the quarterly check-ins and the quarterly improvements that would be made and sort of rolled out either to all of the websites that are on the platform or individual websites based on individual cooperative choices. Next slide. So of course, everyone always wonders what it costs. Very fair question. So to break this down a little bit, I think if you've read the emails about the technical assistance cohorts, it is highly recommended that cooperatives that join the platform go through a 4-week buyer's journey. It had been 6 weeks. That was the time that the 3 initial cooperatives spent in it, but given that the template has already been created, the 4-week buyer's journey is really about understanding your specific cooperative, your where your cooperative sits in terms of your local competition, your local market, how you really put into meaningful words how and why your cooperative is different than the competition to be able to drive those leads, either clients or potential caregiver employees. But that is an optional thing. Just to note, there are scholarships available for that. That's something that Kirsty flagged at the start of this call. So finances should not be a barrier to anyone who's interested in participating. It does require some work, but it's an incredibly valuable experience, and the cooperatives that participated really gained a lot from it. The website builds, so really customizing and setting up your cooperative on the platform for both caregiver recruitment and client acquisition, because this is really dealing with both sides of that, is $4,000. It's a one-time cost. We do have some funding available for that I can talk about in a minute. And then just the monthly costs of being on the site, which includes the hosting, the growth-driven design support, the content development, or content for you that's already developed, and the ongoing tech support. It's important to note that a cooperative that decides to join the platform can always leave. There's no contracts or anything that you need to worry about. Hopefully it will always feel valuable and you'll want to stay. But we very much wanted people to have that independence and value that. So just to say that here. All right, next slide. The way that we have set up the system is based on revenue. So just acknowledging that smaller cooperatives can obviously not afford as much as larger cooperatives, and then also just looking at and considering comparable costs of what a large versus a small agency would be spending on marketing and sales in a digital platform like this. So we priced it in this way, where it scales up $100 per cooperative, with sort of startups that are $0 to $100,000 paying $325 per month to access all of those services that I mentioned, to those that are 60 million and above paying $1,600 per month. The actual cost of maintaining the system and delivering all the services is $5,000 per month. So as more cooperatives join on, the cost will either go down, or there could be a choice by membership to reutilize the funds for other advancements around marketing and sales or other things that the secondary cooperative could provide. So very much like patronage dividends operate at the cooperative level. Next slide. Here's a quick sneak peek of CHCA's kind of draft website. And all of the cooperative websites look similar, though they also have unique elements. This is going to launch, actually the live websites will launch in just a couple of weeks, which is really, really exciting. So you'll be able to go on and see the real deal. The design is really, it's simple, it's smart, it's really optimized to drive search engine optimization, drive traffic to the website, and really move people through this quote unquote buyer's journey of what is the process someone goes through from maybe just starting to think about home care or not thinking about it at all to deciding to hire your cooperative. Or on the caregiver side, you know, I'm looking for a job, I'm kind of floating out on the website, you know, out on the internet somewhere. You know, how do I find your cooperative and really engage on an emotional level with what you're offering, how you're different, how you're better. So you get to a sample a little of the language and style here. You know, we've spent a lot of time working on this, like we own quality care. That is something that cooperatives can say that other companies cannot. Next slide. The results that we anticipate are that cooperatives that join on to the system can expect their revenue to increase 5 to 20 or more % annually. And it really is going to depend to some degree on how large you are, where you're starting from. It's not an exact science, but this is based on historical performance data provided by Story Collaborative. And they feel really, really confident that, you know, every cooperative that joins onto the platform is going to see a pretty significant increase in revenue, both from either clients coming on or new caregivers joining on. And I think, you know, we obviously share that optimism and confidence that this is going to be really impactful. Next slide. So this is a lot of information. I don't expect most of you to remember it all, but we will certainly be sending out information about this. Oh, go ahead. So step one would be to just join the platform, then participate ideally in the buyer's journey marketing cohort. Again, it's not required, but it really, it's really, really worth it, especially with the scholarships that are available. Your website then is customized and really made unique to you with logo, colors, you know, other elements that you want to add on. And then really it's a matter of just launching the new website and kind of rolling into the monthly support and the quarterly driven design process, and really just kind of watching the continuous improvement. I just see a question that will the presentation be available later? Definitely. And we'll be sending follow-up information as well, so you can look through all of this on your own. Next slide. Just finally to note too that, you know, we have heard from some of the smaller startup cooperatives in particular that are just kind of getting, you know, their feet on the ground, that even at that lower cost, it can be a lot. So we do have financing available through the Funds for Jobs Worth Owning. Yeah, the Fund for Jobs Worth Owning has now, I think, made 3 loans to different home care cooperatives in the network, and is really excited to provide support, you know, for co-ops that want to take advantage of the platform, but, you know, don't feel financially secure enough to do that without some support right now. Next slide. Okay, so, you know, just a reminder that this is really just the beginning. You know, we're in the midst of advancing research and planning on the next set of products and services, finalizing branding, you know, bringing together advisory groups, and, you know, really want to hear from you, have your voice in the mix. And of course, would love it if you were interested in learning more about joining the website platform. So, you know, please reach out. We will send out information. We'll send out the recording, and would love to set up, you know, meetings one-on-one or with your cooperatives to share more about any of this. So thank you. And if you have any questions, we can open it up now.
I just wanted to add, and this may have been perfectly clear, but I know that there's a lot to take in. So the costs that Katrina shared, the monthly costs that we shared, that's for the website platform, not for being a member of Elevate Cooperative as a whole, because like we were talking about before with Melissa's question, the financial model is still being worked out, and it will depend on what the other services are. But for now, this is the cost structure just for this website platform. And it's partly structured the way it is because of who the cooperatives are now. You know, we have mostly smaller cooperatives, not mostly $60 million cooperatives. But as the number of cooperatives grow, as the size and the revenue of cooperatives grow, that cost structure could change.
And Katrina, there's a question in the chat about sending a follow-up on how to join.
Yeah, we'll definitely do that. I'll plan to send out a follow-up email with a presentation. We have a sort of a more detailed written version that shares all of the things that I sort of said out loud. So we'll send that along, as well as information about how to get started. Really, it's just getting in touch and talking through your specific cooperative situation, and then the website system will be live and ready to join next month. And I know we're looking to roll out the buyer's journey probably at this point early November as part of the marketing cohorts, and a number of people have expressed interest in that, so that both as a standalone, but also certainly serves as a starting point if you choose to join onto the platform as well. So we will definitely follow up.
Katrina, can you talk a little bit about the buyer's journey and how it relates to the website, and whether you recommend that people do the buyer's journey before they commit to the website? Just talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure. That sounds good. Yeah, it's not necessary to do the buyer's journey first, but it really helps both provide insight into why the website is set up and designed the way that it is, because it really is about this journey. I think a lot of times websites are more like an information site. I think, you know, a term that Story Collaborative uses is like a brochure website, you know, where it's not really appealing to kind of someone's emotional journey. It's more just providing information about services, et cetera. So the buyer's journey is really about understanding that process, that kind of flow that somebody goes through from point A to point B, and then really helps individual cooperatives to position themselves within that and understand kind of what is their unique value and how do they want to communicate that value through a buyer's journey to a caregiver or to a client. I hope that makes sense. It's not a concept I'm super well good at talking about because I'm new to it as well, but it makes a lot of sense to me. So I would really recommend that people participate. We have some great quotes actually from the cooperatives that did participate that will give you insight into what they felt like they got from it. Yes, Denise sent me a note here that it would have been great to have the cooperatives talk about it, about their experience, and I completely agree. I apologize, I was a little rushed in preparing for this presentation, but I think it would be great for people to hear directly from the cooperatives that have been participating. I think the response has been really positive and that they've gained a lot from it. So yeah, I think it would be great if people did participate. Both, you know, whether you join onto the platform or not, it really doesn't matter. You would gain a lot from participating and just understanding how to position yourself and market yourself in your community.
Yeah, can I add something?
Yeah.
We haven't heard, we've heard like bits and pieces here for those that haven't been involved. But I know the other day we saw like our director of patient services go around and they were videotaping her. And I heard that it was related to the buyer's journey, that she was selling her points of why CHCA and why the service is so valuable here. So I'm dying to see the videos. We haven't seen it yet, but I just wanted to add that out there. You know, people are excited about this process.
Right. Thank you, Denise and Katrina.